From the first moment we met Isabella Constantino, it was clear she had a severe form of Tourette syndrome. Like others with Tourette's, Isabella's symptoms mysteriously rise and fall in severity.
My mom's goes like this every time I hit myself, or I have to punch myself.
Isabella's symptoms can seem so overwhelming, people sometimes overlook the sweet spirit who lies within.
The stars in the hazy heaven tremble.
The one who sang to us when we came to visit her at her home.
Darling, I love you.
The one who dreams of being an actress.
Do you think you like being on stage?
Yeah, but I like movie acting better. I like being in front of the camera.
And the one who writes poetry.
Snow, snow. Here comes the snow. Here comes the snow with its cold, cold blow.
What would an ordinary day in the life of this extraordinary little girl be like? Well, each morning begins with a bone-rattling jolt.
How are you?
Morning. Since 4th grade, I've had this horrible jerking. This is the worst it's ever been, but I'm sort of handling it.
Her seizure-like tics are complicated by obsessive-compulsive disorder, a shadow companion of Tourette's, occurring in as many as 50% of patients. In her case, when something touches her, she has to touch it back.
If it touched me, I have to touch it.
Between her tics and compulsions, even simple tasks turn into time-consuming ordeals. Her mother often gets her up an hour early just to start her morning routine. Dressing, makeup, and her own private rituals. She hops erratically to avoid cracks only she can see. 2 hops in front of the crack, 1 extra jump to get her over the invisible barrier.
My mom says I'm not allowed to be in that when I jump, because I'm going to break the ceiling open.
Just a few weeks later, the ceiling collapsed, captured on videotape by Isabella's mom, Mary.
Which fixing Isabella was easy as fixing the ceiling.
In this household, even a simple breakfast is a staggering undertaking.
Well, my OCD, it makes me toss a plate up and down, even with food on it. I can't sit in a chair because my knees might touch the table and my elbows and my chest. I had to bang my head as hard as I could against any hard surface. If something didn't feel right, I'd have to punish it by hitting it.
In their attempt to control her symptoms, Isabella's parents have tried everything from nicotine patches to homeopathic remedies. She also takes a battery of drugs, and all of this to little avail. I talked to Isabella and her sister Christina about the difficulties of living with Tourette's.
What would you say kind of brings them on? Anything in particular?
Noises.
Noises?
And things that touch me.
You mean if I touched you, that can do it?
Don't touch me, though.
Talking, I learn, also triggers her tics.
You having trouble right now? Oh.
Within minutes, Isabella had experienced a dozen or more tics, many preceded or followed by what she calls her freeze frame moments.
I'm good.
Keep in mind that this sort of daily struggle has been going on for 4 years. That's when she was first diagnosed. Dr. Jonathan Mink is a leading expert on Tourette's.
Is something going on in the brain itself, in the biology of the brain, as a child is 7, 8, or 9, that would in fact potentially trigger Tourette's?
There must be. One of the mysteries of Tourette syndrome is why, if this is a genetic disorder, why do the symptoms start on average between age 5 and 7? Why do they get worse for a while? And then why on average do they get better?
That's a lot of whys without any good answers.
Touch your nose, finger, nose, finger.
On the morning of one of our visits with Isabella, we accompanied her back to Dr. Mink's office for her examination.
She has some of the worst tics I've ever seen. Fortunately, most people with Tourette syndrome don't have tics that cause themselves injury, but she does. There's one thing that I could give kids who have tics would be resilience. And you know what that means? The ability to say, yeah, my tics are tough, but I'm not going to let them stop me.
I have that.
You do have that. I could tell that. You have a lot of that.
Sometimes it seems Isabella's resilience and her parents' patience are the only things keeping this family from being torn apart by Tourette's.
You want to flip that little tiny one?
I can do that.
On this morning, Isabella refuses to reach into a drawer for a spoon. She knows it will trigger her OCD, but her mother, Mary, insists that she try.
Isabella, you have
I
to
can't
try to
touch
do
it.
it yourself. You have to try to touch things and do it yourself.
I tried before and then I...
You're going to be hungry. Do it, please.
But watch what happens when Isabella reluctantly grabs the spoon.
You can do this.
The instant she touches it, her compulsion to touch back is unleashed.
I push her to be independent and to try to get past some of this.
She punishes the spoon.
I feel like I've got to make sure that she comes out of this an independent kid.
Then the drawer. Her mother tries to help, but the tics keep coming.
I just need you to get the spoon out.
I can't believe how bad she is this morning. It's very hard. It's hard to watch it. This is not a pretty part of our lives.
Sorry.
It's so much easier just to go in and help her. I can't.
You
I
have
can't.
to.
I'm her mother. I can't do that.
Well, you should do that because you're my mother. You should want to help me.
Tell me about how you think your parents are dealing with all of this.
My mom, she's just getting really stressed.
I bet. Have you seen the strain on them?
Yeah.
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 Both of us have. Really?
That must make it even harder for you in some ways, I would think. I mean, you don't want to feel like you're making your parents stressed.
I know. I'm always like, I'm sorry.
I have my moments, sure. Sure. I mean, this is not what you expect when you have babies.
Clearly, dealing with Tourette's within your family and the privacy of your own home is rough enough. But imagine coping with the disorder in a public school classroom.